Welcome to the No Limit Selling Podcast, where industry leaders share their advice on how you can become better, stronger, faster. Hey everyone, welcome to the program. And today we have two great leaders out there in the New York area. And, the world revolves around New York. John, brief bio. Who are you? What do you do? How long you been in the industry? Then we'll go to Lou.
Hey, Umar, it's great to see you and talk to you again. My name is John Goodell. I've been in the industry for about 20 years. I am mostly focused in Manhattan. I own a company called Bohemia Realty Group, and we focus in Upper Manhattan and areas of the Bronx. As a CEO, I really worked my way up from an agent to a listing agent and became a CEO, and I just love my job. And happy to be here.
Welcome. Lou, where in the world are you? Little bio?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Lou Belisario, mainly operate in Brooklyn and parts of Queens. I've been doing it almost 20 years as well. I am the principal of the Belisario Cruise Rain team, which is recently through with the #1 mega team in the state of New York as of last week, apparently. I don't know what that really means, but here we are. We do a ton of business, and we really try to focus on more of the middle class section of Brooklyn. We don't do too much of the high end market, but buyers, central southern Brooklyn, areas of Brooklyn that aren't as popular as the Williamsburgs and the Park Slopes of the world.
Brilliant. And Jan, welcome to the program. A little bit of bio, please.
Good morning. My name is Jan Crowley. I'm a solo agent located just outside of DC. I'm technically in Maryland, though. I've been selling for 10 years. I mostly do veterans and I mostly do buyers, but I also coach agents as well.
Brilliant. So, John, why don't we let you kick this thing off? Every single profession in the entire world, from accounting to people that do voodoo, is like, if I could just get in front of clients, I am fabulous. Like, once I've got them, I do a great job. They love me. But it's that marketing piece of actually getting clients, which is like the real job. And so thoughts on that, John, and a piece of advice that people can use right now, agents listening to this, that can execute and start getting more clients.
First off, I just look at your mindset in terms of how you're approaching getting clients. So if you're looking at it as, how can I, like it's a problem, it's as opposed to how can I, thinking creatively, I think that's the first step. Is you got to approach the problem in the right way that actually has a solution. And there's a lot of ways to get clients these days. You can buy leads. You can you work your network. I'm a big fan of working the network. There's a great book called Referral of a Lifetime by Tim Templeton that we use throughout the firm. You make a list of 250 people that and you or may know you, and you categorize them, and then you set up systems and processes to continue to reach out to them. And it can take months or a year, but you can really see your business switch where you could be mostly referral based, and that's really the key to the business, I think. And along the way, you can just buy leads. I have not had a problem with leads ever. There's always a solution we've found in terms of getting leads.
Love it. Lou.
Yeah. So, I always tell my agents, don't be a secret agent. That's like I've been saying it for 15 years.
I love that. I'm going to quote you on that.
All right, no problem. Do it. You don't want to be a secret agent. So, I'm always encouraged. Oh, real quick, my bad. Always encouraging the team I agree with a lot of stuff John said too. You could buy leads, but I like to do like old school, like trench warfare type stuff. So, we do things that a lot of higher end brokerages don't do, which is like expired listings, for sale by owners, canvassing neighborhoods. I think there's an old school approach that still really does work a lot in this business. Obviously, we preach networking like it's going out of style. It's something that it changed my career, networking and being able to be out and meeting people within the industry. I get a lot of referral business within the industry for a lot of brokers who don't know the neighborhoods that that we work predominantly in. So if that means you have to fly to San Diego to go to a networking event, or if you have to take the train into Manhattan to go to a networking event, you got to go and do it. So I couldn't agree more with that. Keeping a positive mindset obviously is very important. And I think the biggest problem in the industry is follow up. So most agents just don't follow up correctly or enough or properly. So we really try to push following up the right way with our team.
So you were talking mindset, so might as well go to our sponsor. We'll be right back before we go to Jan. If you're ready to let go of anxiety, let go of uncertainty, let go of doubt, Mindset Boosters gives you the ability to decide how you act and feel in any situation. Ready to take charge of your mindset? Go to mindsetboosters.com. Hey, Jan, so what do you suggest? How to get clients?
My philosophy is education based. So I don't pay for leads. I use social media and my network to basically educate everyone around me on buying a home, the home buying process. I network heavily. I go to broker conferences in order to kind of make connections all across the country. Like I said, I work with a lot of veterans, so they're always PCSing across the globe. So I have a pretty strong referral network, which, for me, it works for me as far as referring a client out, making that passive income and really vetting that person, how they operate, do they pass on someone to a team? I really like to know who my referral partners are, and also, incoming. So I live in a pretty transient area, so I've done very well with it.
Superb. And just to kind of add to that networking piece, there's an old joke. What's the difference between networking and not working? Just one letter. And that kind of leads me to the next kind of train of thought is this. So I'm going to ask you guys for one piece of advice. I'm going to kick us off on this, and I'm going to talk about the piece of advice that people can use, the mindset they need to have, and how to execute it really, really well. Because I think in our industry, there's so many ways to get clients that people get overwhelmed and they don't give a particular idea the right mindset, and they don't give it the right amount of time to actually make it work or not work for them. So I'll kick it off. One of the things that's been a common thread from a lot of interviews that we've done of highly successful realtors, they think open houses are a gift from God. So a lot of agents I don't want to do an open house. Nobody's coming. What's the point? But true champions go there and have the right attitude of, how can I help these people walking through that door to find the right place? And if you have that attitude of not, I need a client and they have to be the right one, it's like, no, I'm just going to add value to the people coming in, which I think is huge. And a second trick that I heard, which I thought was totally brilliant, when an agent is looking at doing an open house at this house, they have a similar property that they know of. And if somebody comes in looking at it, they got interest there. They go, you know what? There's another house that I'm going to right after this that might be the ideal one for you. And I think that having the right mindset of helpfulness, having an optimistic mindset that this is going to be a great use of my time, is a great way to fill your calendar with appointments and clients. So that's idea number one. So Jan, let's kick it off your way. An idea that people can execute, what kind of mindset the agent has to have, and any tips on how to do it well.
Sure. I think you really need to know your client. I mean, if we're talking about sellers in particular, I think you have to use the data that we have available to us. As everyone who understands the way the internet works, we are the biggest commodity on this planet. Our information is being sold constantly. So one way to kind of crack the code and get back in on the back end is to understand what we as the consumer are searching for. And for me, I like to know, especially when it comes to listings, what sellers are looking for. And one of the top searches is, how do I do it on my own? How do I for sale by owner? And if you can argue intellectually and have all of that, supported by data, not argue, but if you can counter the seller while you're in a listing appointment, intelligently and using the numbers and the data that we have, in our MLSs, I think it sets you apart. But it really does have to be education based, and you have to understand the
Brilliant.
consumer.
So know your stuff, know your customer, and be ready to go. Lou.
Yeah, so a couple of things I'd kind of like to piggyback off what Jan said there. I think intelligence is beyond an important attribute for an agent to have. And that's something I try to teach a lot of people. And in New York, I don't know what it is in every state, but in New York, you need like a 75-hour course to get a real estate license. When I got it, it was 40 hours. So legit, anybody could have a real estate license. And most people that come into it, they're looking to make quick money. I try to filter out people who are looking to make quick money and people who want to have a career. And I got a lot of people who maybe they aren't the most educated people in the entire world, but I could sit down with them and explain to them why it's so important to, speak properly or to write proper emails and things of that nature. So I think that's a great point. But what I was going to bring up as a real thing is you mentioned earlier, like keeping your calendar full. So I really preach, keep your calendar full with real estate related activities, right? Because money will come, deals will come, clients will come as long as you're in the game, right? So a lot of people, there's so much downtime if you allow it to be in real estate, right? So you can sit here all day and do nothing. But as long as you're doing something and you can pull one thing out of that day, that's a real estate related activity. Even if it was an appraisal and you had to go open a door for, if it was a home inspection, if it was a conversation with an attorney, it doesn't have to be just showings and listing appointments all day long. Whatever you're doing with those activities will eventually lead to a client, will lead to a deal, will lead to a closing. You'll get a referral, and it'll just become a snowball effect. And hopefully, you take that snowball down the mountain real quick.
Yeah, just adding to yours before we go to John is it's so easy to take your foot off the gas. I got a big check coming in next month. So, spend time with the family, and then you're going to have like a really, really crappy September and October. So keep doing. John.
Yeah. Never take your foot off the gas is just overall. And it is easy to do it. I think in any entrepreneur can feel that. But just in terms of the idea, for me, it's leverage. How can you leverage yourself? How can you get other people to help you? How can you work with other agents? What do you do really well? And focus on that and just do that really well. You notice high performers are usually doing things really, really well, and they have other people doing that, helping with their weaknesses. And then I would just say, in terms of the mindset, similar to what you said, it's just how can you serve? How can you help people? If you go into every interaction and how can I leave an impression of increase with the customer? That's just a great mindset and approach to have, and deals will come from there. I like what Lou said. Just focus on the process. You just do the activities, activity. I like to keep my schedule really kind of a little bit overfilled, so I go from one to the next and so that I don't lose that. You don't lose time, because the one thing we have in common with everyone else is we all have 24 hours in the day, and it's how you use that. And I think for that, I would say my best time is my morning. Have a morning routine. You should have an evening routine too, but have a morning routine where you're really, before you pick up that phone, you're really focusing on what you want to do with the day, how you're going to approach the day. And I'd really, anybody who's selling should be reading on sales. How do I learn how to sell better? Because we can always sell better and do better. And there's lots of knowledge, there's lots of stuff on YouTube, there's lots of free information out there for us to have to improve ourselves and how we sell.
Brilliant. And I think that YouTube thing, like back in the day, you could have someone who's a brilliant instructor in front of an auditorium with 400 students listening, and you get value out of that. But what YouTube allows you to do is have 10 of the world's best instructors basically teaching you, so you get different perspectives, so you go much deeper. Okay, here's my suggestion for realtors. Number one, questions. Questions are your best friend, because questions allow you to do many things. Here's two of them. Number one is you can change someone's state. Like I could ask you, John, about the first time you held one of your kids in your arm, and your entire demeanor is going to change. I'm going to impact your brain chemistry with a question. Second thing is questions to interrogate, not good. But if you get that mindset of curiosity, I want to know 5 things about the person that I'm dealing with, whether they're buying a house or whatever, and it comes across more natural, and you find information that's going to help you help that client get what they want. So I think the ability to ask great questions is critical to being a good human being and a freaking amazing agent. Jan, over to you. What's your next suggestion?
All right, next suggestion. Like I said, I'm education based, so I really do try to advise people. And I think early on, I don't know, any young new real estate agent, if they don't have the right training, the right teams, the right support, they can come across as incredibly salesy, desperate. They want to shove the fact that they're a real estate agent down everyone's throat. I know I used to do that, but I've stopped doing that since. And instead of just becoming a resource for real estate, I try to be a resource for everything. And I'm usually the person that people come to solve a problem, to fix a problem, to find a resource. And I value that because generally, doesn't matter what kind of conversation we're having, it always goes back to real estate because everyone knows that I'm a realtor. So I don't know. I just try to put myself out there and be really helpful. I know it seems like don't sleep on soft skills. They really do work, but I'm a big fan of them. I try not to be too pushy.
Superb. Lou?
Something I would throw out there to people is recently we've got away from like the office environment, right? And I really push my agents to be in the office as often as possible, not because a deal's going to walk through the door. It's not like, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, where somebody walked off the street and came in and wanted to sell their house. But it's just to learn from what the experienced agents are doing every day, right? So I always tell people, don't recreate the wheel. Like the wheel's a perfect mechanism. Just all you have to do is just copy the wheel, right? So if you just look at what top producers are doing around you, I have an agent on my team, Claudette. She's awesome. She's amazing, but she's in the office every day. She has a morning routine. She's there at 8:30. She leaves at 11:30. She comes back at 1:30. She does her follow-up, et cetera, et cetera. Anybody starting out in this business, you need to copy what successful people are doing. That's all it is. Just do not recreate the wheel. You're not going to come up with some brand new idea on how to sell real estate. This is how it's done. Just come in, follow what they do. If they have a routine, mimic their routine. Most people are also afraid to ask questions to top producers. And I really try to have an environment, and I hate to say family because it's very cliche to say that, but where it's a very open environment where, we're not competing against one another. We're here to help each other and prop each other up. So new agents should not be afraid to ask questions at all. So I think that's a great piece of advice you gave earlier, and definitely don't recreate the wheel.
John. Thank you for that, Lou. John.
Yeah, I love that, Lou. Really just copying what other, see what the top performers are doing. I think it's less about what you should do, but how you should do it. And also what Jan said, like put yourself out there, just go in 100% with whatever you're doing. So you just kind of go all in and stay focused and present in the moment. I think a big thing for me that I try to preach my agents, make discipline a part of your life. If you commit to saying something, follow up and do it. If you commit to doing X number of follow-ups, then do it. Sales is definitely a numbers game. You're going to get told no more than you're going to get told yes, right? So you have to do a certain number of calls. You have to get that persistent of just making cold calls, getting hung up, keep going, a lot of no's, knocking on doors. More clients you see, the more showings you have, you should be doing better. So you really just need to sometimes just be persistent and put the hours in. Because if I work 10 hours a week and you work 8 hours every day, so if I work an extra 10 hours 5 days a week, that's in 4 weeks 40 hours that I've worked more than you have, because I worked an extra 10 hours a week. And that just adds up over time, that you just can't catch up to me because I'm just putting in more time.
Yeah, I like that. Will Smith, is a quote from him. He says, "I'm not the best actor in Hollywood, but no one's going to work harder than me." And you can see in the work that he does. So a couple of things you guys said that was, I thought, really important. Number one is there's people out there that are more successful than you that want to share what they're doing, because true leaders really want to be teachers. And when you ask that person how you're doing what you're doing, 99% of people are like, let me show you. And so I think that is good. And also being a mentor to others is a great way to really master your craft, because it's nothing quite like teaching to really go, oh, this is why this works. Just don't show the surprise that you figure something new out as you're teaching them, I think is the trick to maintain mastery. My last suggestion is it's all about your client. There's this woman called Elaine Northrup, and she was married to this guy who decided to become a realtor, took a university course to do it in Maryland. And he says, honey, we can't do anything this weekend because I need to study for the exam on Monday. And little lady, if you want to study too, you can do that as well. But she's not gone to university for the real estate course. So they both study. And on Monday, she passes the exam. He does not. And that was not a happy occasion. And the guy, I'm not sure if he's related, ended up having an affair with her best girlfriend, left the family, her with 2 kids, and went to another state. And she's a school teacher and devastated. And she decides to go into real estate since she's got the license to earn more money, and does not close a single account because it's all about poor me. This is what happened to me. And the realtor finally says, look, it's been 6 months. You haven't sold anything. This isn't right for you, but let me give you an assessment that will show you what you should be doing as a career. And the assessment shows she should be a realtor. So it gives her one more shot. And this time she focuses on the client. And she ended up becoming the #1 female realtor in the state of Maryland, and just knocked the socks out of everything when she started focusing on the client. And I think every single client interaction you have, if the goal is to get the appointment, that's nice. But if the goal is to learn 3 things about that human being, the tone of the call is totally different, and people can feel that connection you really want to know. And that's a really good way to basically get new clients, is to focus on them. Jen, your last suggestion.
Last suggestion. I think like what Lou said, you can definitely learn from everything that's out there. There's so many places, that you can go to for information and to emulate successful people. I think making sure that you cherry pick what you incorporate into your own business, because not everything in this business is suited for every single agent. Not everybody wants to do cold calls. Not everybody loves listings. Some people don't like buyers. I think if you cherry pick what you really love about this business, it's going to help you be more successful. Because if you cannot stand this task that you have to do, you're going to be less motivated to actually complete and follow up and do those things. So I think that this business there are a lot of standard practices, a lot of old school practices that I refuse to let go of. But I think if you can really pick the things that speak to you and get you excited about this business, it's going to set you up for success. It's not going to feel like drudgery. It's going to feel fun, and infusing your personality into it, and like really, just diving all the way in. It can be really fun.
Love it. Lou.
I would say you, as an agent, you need to be willing to invest in yourself. And I think a lot of agents today, especially, I interview so many agents, and they all expect either a team leader or a broker to pay for everything and buy me leads and train me and do all this. And it's just, to me, it's just, you're never going to get to where you got to be in life with this. You know what I mean? So I think an agent coming into this business, or within a year or two in this business, you have to be willing to take some money and invest it into your business. Right. It's like, you're opening up a store, but you have no inventory. Like, you have to be willing to spend money to make money, and you can't expect people to just pay money for you. So that's something I've
Mindset when you're
Yeah. It's a total.
when you're investing, different mindset. You take it, and I think love that.
Yep.
And if you can be the broker for everything, it's like daddy, can I have this?
You know what? I compare my agents to like baby birds, right? So like,
right,
you're a baby bird. I'll feed you until you're grown enough to fly. But once you're grown enough to fly, you're going to get kicked out of the nest, and you're either going to fall to the ground and die, or you're going to fly away, little birdie, and you're going to be a great bird. So that's the way I look at it. And that's the way I kind of would advise people to come in. You want to be willing to invest in yourself. Don't use your broker or your team leader as a crutch. to get through the business.
Love it. John, the last word.
Set goals. I think the goals are really key. We, set goals for things that you want, set yearly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals, so that you know what you want to achieve and you feel good when you achieve them. And, the thing about a goal is you may have a yearly goal for a number that you want to hit, but you're not actually sure how you're going to get there. And so you just sort of have to do the next thing that you can see and figure it out along the way. Steve Jobs has a great quote, I think, that says that we can't connect the dots looking forward. We can only connect them looking backwards. So we have to trust that what we that what we set up is and have faith that it's going to work out. So it's really just focus on what you want and just do it every day, but make time to adjust along the way if things aren't working. If you're doing 50 calls and that's not working, do 75 calls, do 100 calls. If you don't like calling, get someone else to do it for you and leverage yourself and do other tasks. But just really focus on what your goals are, so that you hit them.
Brilliant. Lou, before we part company, there was a lot of ideas, all of them, but what's one thing you're taking away from this conversation that you're going to go, I'm going to start doing that, or I'm going to share this with my agents?
Actually, I wrote down the book that John brought up earlier, Referral of a Lifetime. So I'm going to steal that from you, and I'm going to take a read on that and maybe pass it around, and maybe we'll do a deal together soon.
That'd be great.
Love that. Actually, I'm going to I wrote that down too mentally. Jan.
I think as someone who's been doing this 10 years, I've stopped asking people other than my broker for advice. And I think I'm going to go back to the basics. I have a lot of older agents in my office, and I'm going to pick their brains, people who've been doing this 30, 35, 40 years, what creates that lasting power and that staying power. And I don't know, I'm going to take sort of like a newbie mindset and really pick some people's brains.
Love it. And John, anything you're going to take away from this conversation?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. I love the don't recreate the wheel and focus on what successful people are doing. And I like what you said about mentoring others. You actually learn, the best way when you're teaching. You look at something a different way. When if you're learning something to teach, you really understand it in a different way. So I think those things are great.
Brilliant. Thanks everybody for being on the show. The thing I liked about it was there was lots of advice that people can go, oh my God, I forgot about that, or that's a new thing for me. Thank you for being on the show. Stay tuned for a moment. I'm going to end the show, and I'll be with you just in a second. If you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're looking for more tools, go to my website at nolimitselling.com. I've got a free mind training course there that's going to teach you some insights from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is the fastest way to get better results.